Hi guys, thanks so much for tuning into this video. Before we get started, mom, if you're watching, please close out and exit the video. Because today, I'll be talking about my sexual journey as a black gay man. And y'all have to drink a little bit of wine for this because we're gonna get a little deep today, okay? Or a little mature. So I'm really excited to talk about my sexual journey as a black gay man because I feel like we as black gay men do not really talk about our sexual journeys and how we find what we like, just our exposure to sex, all those things. I think it's very interesting to talk about. I love having conversations about sex, and I feel like why not talk about my journey? Okay, so the first part of the journey that I want to talk about is positions. Now I know in the gay community as a whole, this is always the biggest topic of discussion when sex is a discussion. Definitely in black gay world, we are so heavily focused on top, bottom, mass, femme, all those things. So I want to talk about my journey with my positioning as I've gotten older. So when I was younger, when I first realized I was gay and what gay sex was and all that, I always thought that I would be a bottom. I always was like, I'm a bottom. Like, I always felt like I was more of a submissive person. Growing up, I played with Barbie dolls and stuff. I always thought I just had more of this feminine energy, so that I was gonna be a bottom, I'm a bottom, I'm a bottom, I'm a bottom. And also, when I was young, the YouTube videos and the porn and everything that I saw just made it seem like you had to make a choice. So honestly, through my earlier 20s, honestly all the way up to my mid 20s for the most part, I was a very strict bottom. Like, I would not date other bottoms, I would not even date verse people, I would only date strict tops or even engage with strict tops because I did not want to have the pressure of having to top. But throughout my 20s, I started meeting guys, some guys I was dating, some guys I was hooking up with casually, that introduced me to the opportunity to topping. And once I started doing it, and I had someone there, and these men were always cool about it. I was telling them I don't usually top, and then they would kind of coach me through it and help me through it and make me feel confident to where I felt confident topping. And then I would start thinking like, am I a top? Am I a bottom? And I would still feel like I would have to choose. So once I started understanding like, oh, topping is great, I like it, and once I started getting some familiarity with it, I was like, oh, can I still be a bottom? I always had this mental conflict like you can't be both, you can't be both. And then finally I've come to terms, and the more I've engaged with sex, the more I've had partners, the more that I've kind of explored this part of myself, I realized that I am versed. I like them both. I like them both a lot. Some days I'm more into bottoming, some days I'm more into topping. Sometimes it just makes more sense based on your day and what's going on during the day. If you had time to prep, if you had time to do things to prepare you for sex. But definitely these days I am more versed. And the reason I wanted to bring up this position story is that I think a lot of gay men, and particularly black gay men, because that's who I engage with, that's who I date, that's who I'm mostly around. So I'm speaking on the black gay community. I feel like a lot of us really pigeonhole ourselves into sexual positions. We don't allow ourselves to explore and to see what other positions are like. And this goes for both bottoms and tops. And I think the great thing about being gay and about being a man is that we can do both. So why not explore both? I'm not saying everybody has to like both or you have to like both equally or all the time. I think everything is on a spectrum. So I also think sexual positions are on a spectrum. But I think it saddens me sometimes when men have never even tried or really explored the other position, because they both feel amazing and they're both fun. So I definitely think if you're younger and you're still and you may think that you are a strict bottom or a strict top and you have no interest in the other position, I would just challenge you to explore that, preferably with a partner or somebody that can make you feel comfortable and confident to explore this, or just a friend if you are hooking up, somebody that you know or someone that you could feel confident and that somebody can kind of help coach you through some of the experience. Because I feel like definitely my experiences with men that have coached me through and kind of helped me build my comfort level with the different positions have helped me feel a lot more confident about the positions. And I definitely think I'm a way more happier gay man now that I feel like I can do whatever I want. I feel like that it puts less parameters on dating because I'm open to both. But my ideal though is still to meet a partner that is versed because I like both, so I want to be able to do both. But it still has opened the doors for me to engage with people that I wouldn't engage with before because I was just such a bottom. I was such a bottom. Like, it's now opened the door for me to engage with other type of gays that I feel like I may even have more in common with because we like both, or that they may be more of a bottom most of the time, but it's like now I can top all those things. So hopefully this was some type of insight on how we can look a little bit differently about sexual positions. Like I said, I think a lot of us pigeonhole ourselves into our positions, and I just think we all should have fun and try new things. And I think one of the great things about being human, and something I'm feeling as I get older, is that there's no limitations. We can always change our minds. We can always shift. We can always grow. And I think as gay men, even sexually, we have the same opportunity to do that. We have the opportunity to shift, grow, and change, and nothing is set in stone. So that's all I want to say about positions. I think we all should make sure we're exploring our positions. So next up, what I want to talk about is my journey and just overall my thoughts on hookup apps and also hookup parties. So obviously we know the tried and true hookup apps like Grindr, Jack'd, Scruff, all the above. So from my experience, the only app that I really played a big role in was Jack'd. I had Grindr for a little period of time, and I did have my first experience with the white man from Grindr, which is totally fine. He was mad cool, we had a good time. But I felt like when it was on Grindr, I just felt it was just not, the focus wasn't on people of color, and I did feel like I got a lot of fetishizing messages about how hung I am, do I have a BBC, all these little nuanced things that would come out from a racial standpoint that I did not like with Grindr. So that's why I preferred Jack'd, and I do think for a lot of gay men, Jack'd is preferred if you're a man of color, just because it's a little bit more easier to navigate and kind of get through the fetishizing, kind of racist questions and messages that can happen on the app. So I was more of a Jack'd person, especially when I lived in New York, and when I first lived out here. The cool thing is I did meet friends off of Jack'd. So sometimes I would meet friends off of Jack'd, which was really cool. But yeah, so I used the Jack'd as my hookup app primarily. And you know, when I was younger, I did take a lot of risks meeting guys off of Jack'd, going to their apartment, them coming to my apartment, not really taking the safe route. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I did meet and experience, great people, some great people on Jack'd. I had some great fun experiences off of Jack'd. I definitely don't really have any regrets because I definitely was young in my 20s, enjoying hooking up and just enjoying being gay and out and all that good stuff, especially living in New York City. But also there was times where I felt that I put myself in danger and that I feel like bad things could have happened, and I had to really think in a witty type of way to kind of either get myself out of the situation or just play through the situation to get me to safety. Now, it wasn't nothing ever like too extreme, but I definitely had situations where I was catfished, where people were not the people in their pictures, and I was already at their apartment or they were already at mine. So I did go through a phase where I was doing that, and then when I realized the safety issue, I really dialed back on using Jack'd to meet up with people because I just put myself in scary situations. And I don't know if you guys have been watching the news or staying up on social media, but there has been a lot of robberies and murders from people who seek people out on apps like Grindr, Scruff, and Jack'd. But sometimes they're straight men, sometimes they're not even gay men, just seeking out men on these apps to rob, murder, etc. And sometimes these men will actually hook up with you and have sex with you, and then they will rob you, take your money, or they may hurt you. So I just want us all to be very conscious when we're using these apps, like that bad things can happen. I'm not definitely trying to put the fear in anyone, but bad things do happen. I know for me, that was one reason I decided to step away from the hookup apps, just because they are a little dangerous when you are meeting strangers. And a lot of people, let's keep it a buck, let's keep it a real. A lot of people in the gay community they don't meet people before, they don't go get drinks before, they don't even FaceTime before, they don't call before, they just go straight to somebody's apartment or they go straight to theirs. I did have a rule at one point where I was FaceTiming people before I would go hang out with them, or I would go get drinks, but I cannot say that I did that every time. And I just know, talking to other gay men, that is not something that happens every time. I have deleted Jack'd and Grindr. I no longer use those apps just because I feel like at my age, I just feel like there's other ways that I can connect with people if I want to hook up or have fun. But for me, I no longer use apps. Not saying I never will use them. When I go on vacation or when I'm in another city, I definitely open them up just because it's like, where are the gays at? You know, sometimes in just a way of just trying to connect with other gays. But I definitely do open them up, and I probably will download them again if I travel. But for the most part, when I travel, but for the most part, I do not use Jack the Grinder anymore. And primarily it was just because of the catfishing. I feel like I dealt with, you know, not even severe catfishing, but people just like being more heavier than their pictures, smaller than their pictures, older than their pictures, younger than their, like, it's just so many things that issues I've had when it comes to Jack the Grinder that I just would not want to experience again. But I do think hookup apps, you know, they serve their purpose as long as you're safe. Like, everybody, just please be safe and just listen to your intuition. Always send an address pin to your friends. That's something I always did. Even though when I was being a little thought, I would send my address pin to my friends. I would tell my roommate every time when I had a roommate in New York where I was going, I would give her the address. So always make sure when you guys are hooking up with guys and you guys are using these apps, to always make sure somebody knows where you are, somebody knows who this person is, try to get their name, try to get information so that if something happens, somebody can come help you and people can know where you are. So that's my little advice about hookup apps. Just be careful, but you know, they are fun, and I have met some really cool guys off of hookup apps. Next up is hookup parties. So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but hookup parties are a big deal, especially in big cities like Atlanta, DC, New York, LA. Like, hookup parties happen. And I cannot say I have not been to a hookup party. I have been to hookup parties. Like, honestly, I feel like it's kind of a part of the game as a gay man. Not everybody goes to hookup parties, but I do think hookup parties are a great way to hook up and be in a safe environment. Most hookup parties have a host, somebody who's monitoring things and making sure things don't get out of hand. Now, obviously, they can't control everything. Things still can go left, but hookup parties are a great way to meet like-minded people. So people who actually are sexually liberated, who want to have sex, who want to have a good time. And it's also a great way to just have fun if you're not looking to go through the whole app process of meeting a random stranger and be put in a situation that they have control, like going to someone's house or someone coming to your house, where you can just go to a location where a hookup party is, and there's a host and there's other people there that can monitor the situation. So I think hookup parties are a lot of fun. They can get a little crazy. I also know some people can get addicted to hookup parties, so just be careful, all things in moderation, and always make sure that you are making sure that you're being safe. So always make sure you're going to hookup parties that have condoms, and like I said, a host or somebody there to monitor. Make sure that if you ever feel unsafe, make sure that you are making it very clear to the person that you are hooking up with, and if things get out of hand, you have the option to leave. I think that's the cool thing about a hookup party, is that things get out of whack, you can just leave out the door. Whereas if someone comes over to your house, or you go over their house, you just put yourself more in a compromising position. Definitely not endorsing them, but at the end of the day, do you. I mean, it's another way we as gay men can find ways to hook up, have fun, and I can say that they are fun, and to me, they are a safer route at times to hook up than it is to have inviting strangers to your home. So that's my thoughts on hookup parties. Always, when it comes to all of this, guys, make sure that you guys are staying safe from a physical standpoint. Make sure that you guys are getting tested every 3 to 6 months. I am someone, when I'm sexually active, I get tested every 3 to 6 months all the time, around the year, all the time. Also, make sure you are getting tested for everything. If you are a bottom, you need to be getting an anal pap. You need to be getting tested in your butt. If you are a top, you need to make sure you're getting tested in the front, and also throat checks as well. Make sure you are getting the full gamut for STD checks when you guys are getting checked out. But a good rule of thumb, if you are sexually active, you are having multiple partners, that you should be getting tested every 3 to 6 months, and you definitely should be getting HIV tested. Everybody should be getting consistently tested for HIV, and we all should be on PrEP. If you are not on PrEP and you are HIV negative, get on PrEP. That's a great way to avoid becoming positive. And there's also PEP if you guys do get exposed to HIV. There's also other options, but please make sure that you guys are getting tested, and then you can have all the fun you want. I still recommend everybody use condoms when they are having fun, but at the end of the day, make sure you guys are getting tested. Make sure you guys are getting tested. Lastly, one thing I wanted to talk about was porn and toys. And I know that gay men, we love porn. Like, we love porn. I've gone through stages where I was like, Jay, you really need to scale back on your porn intake. So I definitely think porn is a great, safe way to have sex with yourself, but in a safe environment. So I know porn gets a lot of backlash in mainstream society, but I think porn is a great way for men, especially gay men, who may be in situations where they don't have a lot of other gay men to interact with. They may be in small towns. I feel like porn is a great way to kind of to showcase what gay sex is ways and for you to gain a better comfort level with gay sex. I mean, Dan Savage, love Cassis. I love his podcast. If you guys are a fan of Dan Savage, he always talks about how porn is a great way to learn. He also talks about it's a great way to introduce new things as a couple, and it's a great way to learn and explore and figure out what things you like from sex. So I'm definitely an advocate of porn. I think porn is the safest way to please yourself. So I think I'm always gonna be an advocate for porn. I'm also a huge advocate for toys. So part of my sexual journey, I definitely have always used toys. I think toys are a great way to explore with yourself and find your spots and to figure out how you operate sexually. And I think more people honestly should use toys. I meet a lot of black gay men that have never used toys, have no interest in toys, and it's perfectly fine. If you have no interest in toys, that is totally fine. But these same men will still have hangups and hiccups about how they operate when it comes to sex. So as someone who is an advocate of toys, I think toys are a great way to bring awareness to new things you may like, to explore things that you've never tried before. It also allows you to, yet again, have safe sexual experiences without having to leave your house and without having to involve another person. At the end of the day, self-pleasure is the easiest way to get off without having to worry about STDs, HIV, and all of the above, and also not having to worry about safety on any level. So I definitely think porn is something that I definitely think toys is something that we all should take part in, but to each his own. It's been a huge part of my sexual journey, and I honestly feel like it's made me better at sex. It's made me better at things by having toys. And I would say to anybody in their 20s, go to a sex shop, pick up a toy. It's a fun thing to do with friends, or it's super fun to do with a partner. Even guys I've dated, we've gone to sex shops before, and it's super, super, super fun. So I definitely think that should also be a part of all of our sexual journeys, is the exploration of toys. Girls know what's up because they use toys all the time. So honestly, I mean, that was some of the sexual journey and somewhat of an explanation of just sexual things when it comes to my point of view. But I hope you guys found this video interesting. I think sexual liberation is a great thing about the gay community, is that we are seen as more hypersexual, and I know sometimes it can interact and affect how we see each other romantically and if we will find love and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, sexual liberation is also fun, and also being sexual can also be something that's extremely positive. I know a lot of people like to demonize sex and likes to demonize our want for sex, but I think it's okay to desire sex, and it's okay to want to be good at it. And it's okay to want to have lots of it. I just think all of us need to make sure that we are being safe, that we are putting ourselves in safe positions, that we are using protections, that we are getting tested, and that we are always putting our needs first. But I think the more we learn about our sexual needs, our sexual desires, we can be better communicators, we can be better partners, we can be better people to hook up with. So the more we communicate about sex, I think it just will lead to just positivity overall. I think the more we talk about sex, the more we talk about getting tested, the more we talk about protection, could lead to the drop in STDs, could lead into the drop of HIV transmission. The more we talk about toys and self-pleasure can lead to better sexual liberation, can lead to more sexual positivity, and it can lead for us having better sex with our partners. I think there's so many pluses for us to have this conversation, and I think we all have our own sexual journey, and I think we all should explore it. So with all that, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this video. I hope you guys found it insightful. Be sure to like and subscribe if you are liking this content. If you like this video, if you feel like it was a fun video, I definitely want to gauge what you guys are interested in. I want to bring you guys amazing content. So if you really like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and let me know where you guys are with your sexual journey. Are you guys exploring different positions? Are you exploring new things? Have you ever been to a sex shop? Let me know. I'm curious to know. But always, guys, do your best to stay safe, stay positive, and I will see you guys on the next video.